Okay. I'd like to call the September 17th regular Des Moines City Council meeting to order. And will Deputy Mayor Mahoney please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And let the record show that all council members are present. That takes us forward to correspondence. Is there any correspondence?
Yes, thank you, Mary. Before I begin, I would like to mention a change to public comment. For Council Rule 20, individuals are asked to state their name and the city in which they live when giving public comment. Over the past 6 months, we have received a handful of comments, public council meeting comments that have been incomplete, missing either a first or last name and or the city in which they live. For full transparency, any council public comment forms that are incomplete will not be read into the record. However, they will be uploaded to the corresponding council packet to the city's website after tonight's meeting. With that, the following written public comments have been received. The following individuals wrote in about marina parking: Joe Schott, Joanne Hayden, Sean and Jeannie Daly, Dennis Moore, Deanna Clifford Schrodel, Robert Adams, Kathy Hansen, Emily Stewart, Judy Klinsky, Sharon Andrews, Bo and Kim Corby, Desiree Bailey, Chuck Reese, Sherilyn Stan Miller, Gail Rongi, Deborah Anderis, David Anderis, and Ken Rogers. Joan Bailey had several comments on municipal broadband and marina parking. Kevin Collins commented on traffic speeders on 250th Street. The following wrote in about respect among councilmember interactions: Henry M., Brian Gumry, Helen Harper, Rob Anderson's support for contract extension of Anthony Hempstead. Bob Leonard wrote in about Overlook 2 in Van Gaskin Park. And the following individuals wrote in about municipal broadband: Ben Caproso, Bishop Burton, Maine Thomas, Liz B., and Marnie Savoris. And we have one public commenter who is being admitted right now, Doug Andrews.
Hi, Doug. I can see you, but it looks like your mic is muted.
Here I am.
Okay. Please state your full name and the city in which you live for the record, and then you'll have 3 minutes.
Okay, my name is Doug Andrews. My address is 27211 7th Place South here in Des Moines. I moved to Des Moines. Well, I'm 75 years old, and I started the first grade at the Des Moines Elementary School. So that's kind of how long I've been around here. And I was here before the marina, but I have been in the marina now for 35 years. And I don't have, like I say, I got just a couple of things I'd like to say tonight. Des Moines is a waterfront and port city. The marina and the waterfront are the crown jewel of Des Moines. I believe that it's without Des Moines would be something different. Des Moines would be Kent or something if it wasn't on the waterfront. 3 things that need to be maintained for this crown jewel in this park, or the let's call it the waterfront and the marina, is it needs to be clean, it needs to be safe, and it needs to have easy access. Prior to paid parking, we had serious problems with people using the marina parking lot inappropriately. Trash, late night parties, drinking, drug sales and use, all kinds of illicit activities, totally scary. Easy access, but no clean or safe, not clean or safe. After paid parking, the area is much cleaner and feels very safe day and night. Have we seen some access issues, especially with some first-time users? Yes. Could be easily addressed, in my opinion, by some better signing, especially advertising rates and so on, prior to people pulling up to the gate. If needed, a different pay system should be put in. But as a 35-year tenant of the marina, I have seen the good, bad, and the ugly. The current system is the best I have ever seen, and I believe that it needs to be, whatever the cost is, we need to maintain the safety and the cleanliness of the marina, because it is the crown jewel of Des Moines. It's interesting, again, I've been in Des Moines for, again, most all of my life. And when people say, where are you from? Or you write it in a letter, put down Des Moines, and instantly they think I'm from Iowa. Somebody brought this up. I hadn't thought about it, but you might just throw this as an idea. Maybe we should entertain changing the name of the city of Des Moines to the Port of Des Moines. I think it'd be very appropriate. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate your comments. That's it.
That is all, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. So this takes us forward to our administration report, and I will turn the mic over to City Manager Michael Mathias.
Thank you, Mayor. Just have one item tonight, and that is going to be, we actually postponed a discussion of our business assistance program to next week, where we can go to Economic Development Committee. But I just want to introduce Chief Ken Thomas at this time, and he's going to talk about Life Safety Awards.
Thank you very much, City Manager Mathias, City Council. Tonight, I'm very honored to recognize 4 of our police officers with life-saving awards. As you may recall, on July 13th, Police Officer Doug Weeble was on his way home after shift, wherein he was flagged down and directed to a shooting victim at the bus stop near Kent Des Moines and Pacific Highway South. Officer Weeble found 5 additional victims and radioed for assistance. Sergeant Richards, Officers LaMarche and Tyler arrived at the scene and provided immediate first aid and CPR to the victims. Later, the medical program director from Medic One contacted the police department and noted that these life-saving efforts were a significant factor in not one single life being lost in this incident, where several of the victims sustained life-threatening critical injuries. 2 of the officers had received advanced first aid training due to their assignment to the Valley SWAT team. All of our officers demonstrated through their training, experience, and compassion how much of a difference to our community they can make. These officers represent the very best of our department, and I thank them for their professionalism. Each officer receives a life-saving medal and recognition. And before I give those medals out and the life-saving awards, I want to also recognize Officer Clayson Tanner, Mark Hake, Eddie Ochart, and John Coppage, who were also present at that scene and assisted. This clearly takes a team effort to resolve a critical incident such as this. So I will call up Sergeant Richards, Officer Weeble, Officer LaMarche, and Officer Tyler. Patty, a Chief's Life Saving Award for heroism in the line of duty.
Thank you.
Officer LaMarche. Officer LaMarche, for heroism in the line of duty. Congratulations. Officer Weevil, congratulations. Thank you. Officer Tyler, congratulations. Thank you. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Chief Thomas, this is just a testament to what a fabulous team you have put together. And I know everyone is truly grateful for the work that you and our officers do. As I've said many, many times before, I am humbled by the men and women that you have that work on your team, that get up every day and heavily fortify themselves for our protection. But this is even something that is out of the realm that we would normally think of. This is outstanding. And I just want to make sure that those men and women know how much they are appreciated by this city.
Great, thank you.
Mayor, if I may, 2 comments. One, I think it's always dangerous to talk to the chief about being heavily fortified. And secondly, I don't know how this will work in Zoom, but I think they deserve a standing ovation.
Standing O.
Standing up. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Mayor, that concludes the admin report for tonight.
Thank you. Will the clerk please read the consent calendar?
Item 1, approval of vouchers. Item 2, approval of minutes. Item 3, childhood cancer proclamation. Item 4, National Recovery Month proclamation. Item 5, acceptance of Washington Traffic Safety Commission grant, Des Moines Municipal Court, Dui Court. Item 6, Farms Creek Trail, King County Grant Safe Routes to Transit Program Capital Improvements Agreement, and 2020 to 2021 on-call consultant agreement for civil engineering services task assignment. And item 7, Hempstead Contract Amendment 1, and that concludes the consent calendar, Mayor.
Thank you. Is there anyone who, first of all, is there anyone who wishes to pull any item from the consent calendar as read?
I do, Mayor. Item 7, please.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, is there a motion?
I move. Oh,
Okay, it's Councilmember Nutting, and I'll give, if you're making the motion, Councilmember Nutting, you need to take yourself off, and I'll give Councilmember Bangs a second. Are you making the motion, Councilmember Nutting?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and Councilmember Bangs, you wanted to make the second?
second.
Okay, so all those in favor of the consent calendar, with the exception of item 7, please raise your hand and let me call your name before you take it down. Okay, so I see myself, Deputy Mayor Mahoney, I see Councilmember Buxton, Councilmember Harris, Councilmember Martinelli, Councilmember Bangs, and Councilmember Nutting. That looks like, yeah, motion passes 7-0. Okay, so this takes us back to item number 7, and that was pulled by Councilmember Harris. So actually, before we go on to discuss that, I will go back to you, Councilmember Harris, in 1 minute. Because we have passed 2 proclamations, I'm going to read the highlights into the record. The Childhood Cancer Proclamation. Now, therefore, the Des Moines City Council hereby proclaims the month of September as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. And we also have a proclamation for National Recovery Month. And the highlight of that is now, therefore, to help more people achieve and sustain long-term recovery, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, the White House Office of National Drug Control Policy, and the City of Des Moines invite all residents to participate and proclaim the month of September as National Recovery Month. So with that, we will go to item number 7. Councilmember Harris.
I am very impressed with the list of accomplishments that Mr. Hempstead has been able to achieve for the city. However, I would like to keep the contract as it is. The arguments that the city manager has made for increasing his basically his compensation is simply too vague. I will just tell you as a practical matter, he has now taken a position with our START committee, I guess you want to call it. That was originally supposed to be a citizens led committee, and it is frankly ineffectual. And when I look at the good that somebody like Mr. Hempstead can do for $150 an hour, I'll just, that is not where we want to be putting the city's money. So I move to strike item number 2 from the amendment.
And I believe City Manager Matthias had a comment.
Yeah, I have several comments. Mr. Harris, you may remember in the spring that the issue we had at that point was the number of times you were calling Anthony directly without any authorization from the council, from myself, permission to do that. And eventually we had to put a stop to that. So it's interesting to me that you feel he's not deployed appropriately. So what happened was that last January, I raised Anthony's compensation from $4,000, which had strictly been focused on state legislative activities, of which he has been extremely successful, helping bring us acquiring and retaining the $2 million for the bulkhead, $350,000 in the capital budget for the Des Moines fishing pier improvements and renovation, and other issues, including his efforts in SCORE with Doug Levy, the lobbyist from Renton, who makes approximately $17,000 a month from his different clients, is very effective lobbyist. And Anthony working with Chief Thomas, myself, Beth Ann, on helping direct the Department of Corrections to increase the amount that they pay SCORE, which saved us money. Okay, so Anthony was involved in all of that. And as we were talking in the end of last year, it became clear that Anthony had skills in economic development, in federal legislation. He'd worked in Washington, D.C. for 2 U.S. senators from the state of Washington, Dan Evans and Slade Gordon. Great pedigree in terms of the history of this state. And it became clear that Anthony could help us. He would have been the president of the World Trade Center in Tacoma. So he had international contacts that I've seen and met for investment and development. And he's brought some of those people to Des Moines. So what I said was, great, we will retain your services for the legislature at exactly $4,000. And we will add $2,000 a month for help with economic development and the federal legislation. In a recent discussion that Congressman Smith had with the mayor and myself, he highlighted the likelihood that there will be significant infrastructure investment in the next administration, regardless of the administration, and that Anthony will be involved in helping to bird dog and find resources for Des Moines. And as far as START goes, I'm not quite sure where that plays into all of this, except Mr. Harris, in the spring, when they were planning the trip back to Washington, Eric Schinfeld, who is somebody Anthony has known for years, was going to organize a tour and Anthony was going to go on our behalf. And you were, in fact, were not going to go on our behalf. And I know that was your wish to participate in that. That's certainly a fine wish, but we needed a professional lobbyist who understands how Washington works to go back there and represent our interests. So with all of that, I can't imagine a finer consultant for the city at this time than Mr. Hempstead. What happened was I okayed his contract at $6,000 a month. It ran through August. That was 8 months, $48,000. My limit is $50,000. And so it's now time for council to approve the extension of Anthony's contract through December 31st of 2021 at the rate that he has been receiving this year. So there is no raise, just an expansion of his duties. Mayor, thank you.
Thank you.
And
Are there any other council members that wish to make a comment? Councilmember Bangs, I see you. And then I see Councilmember Harris, this would be your second bite at the apple. But
So, oh, sorry, Mayor.
Go ahead.
I'd just like to say in the previous 5 years that I was on council and when we actually hired Anthony Hempstead on our staff for government relations, we've heard nothing but accolades from our legislators, nothing but accolades from our staff. I believe we want someone who can voice our opinion and sell what it is we're willing and wanting to do for our city. And Anthony has done a grand job. I truly appreciate our city manager's breakdown of the fact this is not a raise. What it is an allocation for extended or other duties rather, not extended, but other duties, of which I don't know of any consultant that makes less or what Anthony makes. They all make 6 figures. And I think what we're willing to pay him is good, but I'm just saying if you compared that to others that are in the same field, same expertise he has, you're not going to find any that make under 6 figures. Just my comment. And I will be voting for this.
Councilmember Harris?
well, it is a raise. If we've basically been paying the man a certain amount every year, and we're going to be paying him more, you can call it, changing the, time window or whatever, but it's an increase. And the duties that were, laid out, they're all very speculative. There is not anything specific as to, here is what I am going to be doing. It sounds like he's doing a great job during the legislative calendar, and we should keep doing that. Thank you.
I believe I saw Councilmember Buxton's hand, and then I saw Councilmember Martinelli. Is that Councilmember Buxton? Did you have your hand up? You're muted right now.
Okay.
Oh, and then I will go to Councilmember Martinelli.
All right, thank you, Mayor. So just a couple of observations in regard to what he gets paid per hour. He is a consultant and not an employee. So if we were to have this service available to our city as an employee, it would be, it's a different kind of equation. So we're contracting with him, and it's not like you're paying an employee $150 an hour, if that makes sense. He's responsible for all of his own benefits, insurance, whatever. In regard to the necessity for somebody like him, most cities our size or larger, in fact, even quasi-governmental agencies regionally all over have policy advisors. We call Anthony our legislative advocate. Another word for that would be policy advisor. So it's not unreasonable. Most cities have somebody like Anthony these people are able to not only inform us as electeds and staff, but advocate for us in these regional and state and federal issues. And I think really that's all I wanted to say about that. I'm in favor of moving forward with this. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Martinelli? You're muted, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. I believe when you look at the work that Mr. Hempstead has done, over the last year or so, it's been really great work. We've got a lot of things accomplished. The lawmakers that I've spoken with have nothing but positive things to say. So personally, I think that the money we've spent and have been spending is worth it. So I think with this motion, the question is it worth it to extend that for 4 additional months? In my opinion, those are the 4 months leading into the legislative session. And so I think that it makes sense. As pointed out, whether you call it a raise or not, I think isn't incredibly important. He is getting more money, but he's working 4 more months for that money. And again, I think that the work he's done is positive enough to justify it. And so I will be voting in favor. Thank you.
Okay, I see Councilmember Mahoney. Councilmember Harris, you've already had 2 shots at it. I may give you cleanup. Let me go to Councilmember Mahoney, or Deputy Mayor Mahoney, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mayor. I look at it as a return on investment. What we paid him and what we've got so far has far exceeded anything that the investment was incurred. And I know that we're going to really need his assistance and somebody who knows us so well in the future. To me, in a business decision, it's a no-brainer. Thank you.
Councilmember Nutting, did I see your hand or did I not?
No, I'm good. I think this is a straightforward. So thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Harris, I am giving you the levity of a 3rd shot. You're on mute, sir.
Levity, yeah. So here's the thing. It would be a fabulous idea for the city to hire a policy advisor. I've said so for many years, especially with regard to aviation expertise. But to pay a consultant to do something that we should bring in-house, yeah, doesn't make sense to me at all. Thank you.
I'd like to point something out. I've had the good fortune of serving this community in different capacities for almost 19 years. And every organization I've been with at one point, including this one, when I got here, we didn't have a lobbyist, and we would go down to Olympia and we would try and have our voice heard. The advantage of having someone like Anthony, especially someone as well respected as Anthony, is that when he walks into a room and he talks, people listen. People know who he represents, and people know the type of integrity he has, and he really has been outstanding. Again, to reiterate what was said earlier from the standpoint of our elected officials, they all respect him. They listen to him. And from the point of view of a city, you know, bringing this function in-house really creates a micro focus on what's going on within the city of Des Moines. Mr. Hempstead has a more macro view of things, and that makes him much more effective. You know, there's an old saying, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. Well, in my view, in many cases, they put Anthony at the head of the table because they want to hear what he has to say. He is not E.F. Hutton, but it's the old commercial. When E.F. Hutton talks, people listen. Well, Anthony, maybe you are the new E.F. Hutton. I don't know. But anyway, you have done remarkable things for this organization. And you have brought funds in. You have held funds for us. You have found other opportunities for us. And the truth of the matter is we are having some challenges getting some things that we definitely need out of the other Washington. And we really need these permits to get our marina going. And as much as we are talking with, you know, our congressmen, Congress people back there, it's not moving. We may have to send you back, Anthony, to go work that. So my point is, I'm surprised that this even got pulled. I'm surprised we're having a discussion, but I am definitely in favor of it. And I think City Manager Matthias wanted to make one more comment.
I'm okay, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. So with that, we have a motion. It's item number 7. It's the Hempstead Contract Amendment number 1. The motion is to approve and ratify Amendment 1 to the contract between the city and Hempstead Consulting for the purposes of extending and updating the legislative advocacy contract through December 31st of 2021. I have made the motion.
Second.
Okay, I've got a motion. I made the motion, seconded by Councilmember Bangs.
Mayor, I made a motion during my during my first round of discussion. Shouldn't the proper procedure be to address that?
I'm sorry,
I'll just add in, Mayor, there was no
what did I
second.
miss? There was no second to your motion.
Ah, okay. Fair enough.
So the motion on the table is as is written in the packet. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand and hold it up. If you're voting in the affirmative, in favor of, I will call out. I see Deputy Mayor Mahoney, Councilmember Martinelli, myself, Councilmember Banks, Councilmember Nutting, and Councilmember Buxton. All those in nay or voting opposed, please raise your hand, and that's Councilmember Harris. Motion passes 6-1. Okay, this takes us forward to our board and committee reports and council member comments. And tonight, we will start with Councilmember Martinelli.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to commend our city staff and city administration for the work they've been doing on the GROW program. That I think is a great program that not only will benefit small businesses, but also benefit the local economy in general. I'm glad to see we're doing that. In terms of committee reports, I just want to encourage everybody to tune into the next meeting on October 1st of the Public Safety and Emergency Management Committee. We'll be having a discussion on police body cameras. I think that's a really important discussion. And again, I encourage everyone to tune into that and listen to that. Beyond that, I just want to give my heartfelt thank you to the 4 officers who received the Life Savings Award today. That's incredible. We have a great police department that just further exemplifies that. And that's all the comments I have for today. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Bangs has had to leave the meeting, so I'm going to skip over her. She would be the next person, and I'm going to Councilmember Nutting.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to echo my fellow council members in thanking staff and our incredible deputies and police force that we have. And that's all I have today. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Harris. You're muted, Councilmember Harris.
So I've gotten a couple of, over the last however long we've been Zooming, I always get at least a couple of texts from people saying that we should not stand for the, Pledge of Allegiance. And I'm just going to throw that out there. They think it looks silly. Moving on. So yeah, maybe you want to consider that. Moving on. I also want to commend our police force that really, yeah, I got slightly choked up there. Thank you very much. Referring to that incident, I asked Chief Thomas to have a short meeting to discuss that neighborhood, and he denied my request. This is an ongoing thing. I believe that the chief and staff members should be available for short meetings with council members. It's just been an ongoing thing, and it's what the voters want. And I would ask the chief and the city manager to reconsider that policy. It doesn't look good. Finally, I would encourage residents and council to take a look at the last Port of Seattle Commission meeting. For about 4 years, I have been complaining that the noise monitors do not function properly. As background, there are 24 permanent noise monitors around SeaTac Airport, which are supposed to tell us how many flights are going over each neighborhood, how loud they are, and so on. And this has been an ongoing issue. The port has purchased 3 systems over the past 15 years. They cost a couple of $1 million each, and they don't work a lot of the time. So finally, at the last meeting, the commissioners decided that they would do a full audit and would make a bunch of the data public. And this matters to the city because the thing is, any kind of discussion you want to have about changing flight paths or how noisy things are or getting any kind of mitigation, any kind of help, you have to have accurate data. And this is the first time in my memory that the commission has taken this issue really seriously. So, you know, it's a small bit of good news. I encourage you to look at the meeting and see for yourself. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Buxton.
Thank you, Mayor. So I attended Otter Pops with the cops in early August. That was really fun up at Midway Park. I appreciated seeing the community come out for that. I always enjoy having a few Otter Pops. Farmers Market's doing great. There are 2 more farmers markets. So take advantage of it. Well, the weather's supposed to be getting nicer, so we'll see what happens with that. In regard to the Human Services Advisory Commission, it's a committee of residents who are now in the middle of their process of reviewing applications for human services funding from the city. And I think we received 40 applications and they're under review right now. So I'm sure in the next few months we'll be hearing from them about their recommendations and moving forward. Pleased to see that this is again being recognized as Recovery Month, and I have a lifelong loyalty to the recovery community. I have so many of those who are near and dear to my heart that have worked really hard to get on the other side. So one thing that's interesting is our city has a DUI court, and it's an option. Speaking of recovery, it's an option for when people get caught up in a cycle of DUI. So I wanted to give a little report out from our DUI court. So it's a 2-year. So if you get too many DUIs, an option instead of jail, you can become part of this program. It's a 2-year intensive program, and right now the city of Des Moines has 7 active participants, and the Washington Traffic Safety Commission requires us to track recidivism rates as a condition of receiving our grant funding for the program. So our first graduation, though, has not happened yet. It's scheduled to occur in 2021. And so far, all of our participants are in compliance and none have reoffended. So I think that's a fabulous report to include as part of our Recovery Month proclamation. Today, I attended the Growth Management Policy Board at PSRC. And just as an interesting update, there was lengthy discussion addressing equity strategies in our region. So I think that's going to be an ongoing thing that all municipalities and quasi-government agencies, everybody across the nation is moving forward in working their equity strategies. And this includes PSRC, which will trickle down and affect all of us, but also as PSRC moves forward in their strategies, they also become a resource for all those who subscribe, which includes us. And in addition, they also presented their preview of their regional aviation baseline study. And so that was interesting as well. In addition, today, I also attended, I'm on the Domestic Violence Initiative Task Force, and there was a presentation in regard to today, it was on restorative justice. And so I thought this was interesting, something I learned today. There are 3 terms that are going to be tossed around quite often as we move forward in some of these things, some of these justice issues. Right now we operate primarily under the criminal justice system. But when somebody talks about transformative justice means a total change in the justice system. Restorative justice means means working with the criminal justice system. So when you hear the word transformative justice, it means taking care of things outside of the criminal justice system. When you hear restorative justice, it means working within the criminal justice system with a little bit of modification. I appreciated that. Interesting tidbit today. One more thing, if I have another moment, I have a feeling I am running over, Mayor. Do I have permission to bring forward one more item?
Is it a report? I mean,
it is a request to move forward with this this interesting logo discussion. So I received some advice that I should probably present it to the council before I do anything.
Are you talking about the rebranding of the city of Des Moines?
No, not those, just the logo. So not the whole rebranding discussion, just if I were to get a sample of a reworked logo, would I have permission to put it on anything? Like, okay, so for the trick or treat path, we're going to handing out candy, and if we have a table and a canopy that we're standing under and we put a banner there, could I put a reworked logo of the, like what the police have? So
I need to yield to our attorney. Okay. I don't know.
Okay.
I think we could probably talk about this offline.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a city logo that the council has approved, but I think there's probably a few questions that I have here, and I don't think the committee so we can talk.
Sure. All right, great, thanks.
Thank you. And one question I would ask before we go to Deputy Mayor Mahoney is, I believe rebranding is on one of the committee agendas. I believe it's an economic development. Is that
I think it's down far in the work plan. That's like, if you get through everything in the work plan, it's down below on extra stuff. I
believe it got bumped down primarily because of where we are today with COVID and everything else. But okay, we can, I would at this point recommend that you talk to our city attorney and city manager, and we'll find out where it goes from there. Council, Deputy Mayor Mahoney.
Thank you, Mayor. Since our last meeting, I was looking at the list of things I have attended, Zoom meetings, et cetera, and I was like, wow, been a busy cat. But I only wanted to pick out a couple of them. On September 3rd, I actually got to be you, Mayor, and it was a very interesting thing for a joyful occasion. I got to be part of the ribbon cutting ceremony at the Midway Park with the sport court, sponsored by the Sounders and the Storm. I can't tell you what an honor that was. And I actually went up there and looked at the court myself. It's an incredible, the incredible work done there. And I invite all the council members, if you haven't been there, you need to go check it out. One particular interest, I was watching a couple young men playing basketball with soccer, and I'm not sure how they scored it, but they were sure having a great time. And this is what we're bringing to this community. So I just have to pass that on. The other one I attended here recently was the Regional Transportation Board meeting. This particular meeting, the interesting fact was in the South King County, there's about a 30% drop in ridership, but on the north side of Seattle, in North King County, it's an 80% drop. And obviously that's for economics and commuting. I thought that was very interesting. What's really happened, and a couple people were talking about this, is that Metro is really reassessing how they're going to be, post-COVID. I'll put it that way. And it's going to be an interesting thing, but I think they're looking at really dramatically shifting and changing that. So that's going to be interesting, and how it will affect our citizens. We'll have to keep an eye out. We had a transportation meeting today where we reviewed our portion of the CIP. Great work by the staff. A couple of things I wanted to talk about, particularly is Redondo situation. Frankly, I've seen a couple comments out there that I just can't believe. Redondo has a serious problem. We all know it. They've had the street racers, some illegal activity, and it's really taken away from the quality of life in that community. Recently, staff has worked together to come up with some steps to really try to clamp some of that down, considering what we have and under the circumstances. Somebody alluded to the fact that we fake the fishing pier, we close the fishing pier and close that. And also they said we were doing all of these curfews and stuff like that to basically keep people who are less fortunate or don't live there out of there. That could not be completely farther from the truth than anything I've ever heard. We really want a beautiful place to access there, but we also wanted to make a quality place to live for those that have their houses there. In addition, something near and dear to my heart, the diving community is one of those that had a little bit of collateral damage to this policy, and we're working to correct that. Basically, there's some fantastic diving in that area at nighttime. You could see octopus, even the rarely seen 6-gill shark, which can get up to 18 feet if you didn't know that, at that location. And it's an incredible animal. That's my holy grail. I hope I get to see it one day. The harbor master's office offers a permit for $25 a quarter, and you simply call them. I think you would email in your permit or your diving cert, vehicle information, and payment. Or you can email, you can talk to them on the phone, and you can get access to that water. So we're not restricting you. We're just controlling how it's done because we have to fix this problem. I want to commend staff for doing their best to try to put an end to some of the problems down there and listening to the citizens in that area. The next thing I have really quick is I wanted to talk something. Now, obviously with the smoke canceled, but on Saturday is International Coastal Cleanup Day. It's very near and dear to my heart. And I will be diving around the pier, and every year we pulled up over 400 pounds of garbage, nets, garbage, plastic bottles, cones, tables, you would be surprised what we pull up. But also, as people that don't dive, you can also grab a bag and pick up trash along your coastline or in your community on this day to honor it. It's international, it's happening all over the world. Improving the quality of our water is very important to this community, and I encourage you to do so. And with that, Mayor, thank you.
Thank you. I only have to report on tonight's Environment Committee meeting. We had staff members Brandon Carver, Tyler Beakley, and Lauren Reinhold give us a update on, first of all, the Public Works Groundwater Remediation Project. In summary, we had a tank there at one point that has been removed, but they leaked contaminants into the soil. The staff has been working on this project, I believe, for around 20 years, because it takes there some particular chemicals that are very hard to get out of the soil. But things are looking very, very good. They are approaching the point of being able to close down some of these wells that they've been using to direct the water out, filter it, clean it, and then release it. And so I'm very excited about the progress. I will say it's been going on long before I got here, and I think the staff did a great job. They also gave us a report on our surface water management capital improvement project, basically focusing on those things that are highlighted for years 20 and 21. And it was, again, Tyler gave us a very thorough presentation, and Lauren offered his expertise, as he always does, and then Brandon comes through with cleanup. They're just an excellent team, and appreciate all the information. And with that, that takes us to the end of our meeting tonight. Our next meeting is set for September 24th. And do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
And I see a second by Councilmember Nutting. Motion made by Councilmember Buxton, seconded by Councilmember Nutting. Please raise your hand and tell if you're voting in the affirmative until I call your name. Okay, I see Deputy Mayor Mahoney, myself, Councilmember Buxton, Councilmember Harris, Councilmember Martinelli, Councilmember Nutting, and at this time, Councilmember Bangs had to leave early, so that passes 6-0, and we are adjourned. We'll see you soon.